Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I've got an important video today about why you should not let duct cleaning companies install UV lights in your AC system, because they're duct cleaning companies. They're not electricians, and they're definitely not AC service techs. And not to be mean, but they just plain and simple don't know what they're doing. So here at my mother's house, and she had a duct cleaning company, Zero Res, up in Jacksonville, come install a UV light. Originally she just wanted the ducts clean, but while they were here they talked her in, they upsold her to getting a UV light. Alright, well, ever since they came, her fan motor, her indoor blower motor, will not shut off. Doesn't matter if there's a call for AC or not. You can pull the thermostat completely off the wall, doesn't matter. So it's a modern day AC. It's got an ECM motor, and what happened is it's fried. The ECM is fried, and it's failed in the fan high position. So it's just on 24/7, can't turn it off. So I get to looking, and I'm looking at this job, the UV light, and I'm going to take you up in the attic and I'm going to show you. But what happened was, so the service coming into the AC had your two hots, and it had a neutral, but the neutral was not hooked up in the pull-out. The wires were all there. It was just never hooked up because honestly there was never any need. It was installed in case it was needed at a later date, but it wasn't needed when the AC was installed, so they ran the wires, just never hooked it up. Well, this light, and I'm going to show you, this proves that they don't know what they're doing. It's a UV light, and according to the box, the ballast, it can run either on 220 volts or it could run on 110 volts. Well, this person, I don't even want to call him a technician, this person who installed this, they tried to hook it up the 110 way of putting your hot wire, on one leg of the 220 coming in, and tried to tag into the neutral. Well, it wasn't working. So instead of hooking it up 220, they put the neutral wire on one of the hot legs, and then they put the hot wire, the black wire, to case ground. Okay? Now here's where you need to understand how electricity works. Everything in that air handler is 220. Now I hope I do a good job of explaining this. I might mess it up. I hope not. But electricity out at your transformer, that's the whole circuit. Okay? You've got 3 taps coming off your transformer. You've got one leg that's 110, another leg that's 110, and your center tap is your neutral. So this is important because all of your 220 appliances in the fuse panel, they draw one from each side. You got 2 hots coming in, your L1, L2, and your 220 breaker will tag on to one side and the other side. So that 60 hertz cycle, that frequency, that's why it's called alternating current. Electrons are going left to right constantly 60 times per second. So what happens when you have a 110 circuit, say like your kitchen or your living room? Well, the 110 goes out, and then it returns back on your neutral. Okay? Now you got your neutral bar, this is in your panel, right? And so whenever it pushes this way, say you're on L1, we're on the kitchen circuit. So it's pushing that way. At the same time, L2 is going that way. If that makes sense. I hope I can explain this so it makes sense. So the electrons are being squeezed this way, and they come back on the neutral tap, and they will balance themselves out on whatever circuit is on the opposite side, but it has to be the same current. So if you're drawing 5 amps from the kitchen, it will look for, it'll balance out to 5 amps on the other side as long as that's being consumed on the other side. All right? But if it's an unbalanced load, say you've got 5 amps on the kitchen and only 2 amps on the living room, that other 3 amps has nowhere to go. So it's going to feed back on the neutral and go all the way back out to the pole to the center tap. All right. So, long explanation over. Go back to this UV light. So he tapped into one side, and then he put the neutral wire to case ground, or ground. All right. Now, the rule of electricity is it's always going to follow the path of least resistance. So, in order for that extra voltage, amperage, to get back to the fuse panel and get back to the neutral bar, it's got to travel all the way back through the ground circuit and go through our bond screw back to the neutral side, and then it's got to find somewhere to balance out in the panel, and if it can't, then it's going to have to go out to the pole. Well, that's a lot of feet of wiring. You know what's closer? The ECM motor. Now, like I said, he's got one line tagged on to one hot, and he's got the other side just tagged on to the case ground. All right, here's our case. It's just grounded there. Well, our ECM motor is grounded there as well. So what happened was, this is what I believed happened. I don't know what the inside circuitry looks like on these ECM motors because it's all potted. You can't see it. But it is bonded to the case with the ground wire. So the electrons left here, and they needed to get back over here to balance out. So it went through the bond case ground here to the ECM ground, and then boom, now it got back to the other side. And when that happened, it fried the computer. So, sorry for the long explanation, but I had to explain what happened rather than just tell you, hey, don't let these people do this, without giving you an explanation. So now I hope this explanation made sense. I'm going to go bring you up in the attic now and show you what it actually looks like. Alright guys, we're up in the attic now. I got the cover off, got the unit powered down, but this is the unit that was installed. And as you can see, input voltages are both. You can either do 120 volts and it'll draw 0.4 amps, or you can be at 240 and it'll draw 0.21 amps. So with that ballast, you can wire it up either way. And it makes sense, obviously, because not every AC is going to come with a neutral wire. That's actually kind of a nice bonus. When they installed this AC and they ran the wiring, they were actually doing a good thing that not a lot of times people don't do that. So it would make sense that the ballast should be able to be wired in either direction, you know, because you don't know which one you're going to get. So this has to be universal. So now the person, again, I don't even want to call them a technician because they weren't. They had the white neutral wire tied in over here on one leg. Then they had the black wire wrapped around this screw. So it was using the ground, the equipment ground, as the neutral. And as you can see, this wire harness goes to the ECM motor. It's got one of these on it. I'm fixing to change it. And you can see that's where the equipment ground is right there. So didn't have far to go. Had to go from that screw up to this screw. And that's why I said on the piece of paper that electricity is going to follow the path of least resistance. So when you're pulling power from this leg right here, in order for it to balance out, it needs to get back onto this leg. So electricity is not going to go through that equipment ground, back through this cable, all the way back to the fuse panel, then go across and go through that bond to the neutral bar, and then find somewhere to balance out. It's not going to do that. It's just going to go up here to this ground wire, go into the ECM motor, and I don't know where it goes. you can see it goes into this, you know, it's all potted. But that's how it balanced out. And when it did that, it fried it. So I don't know what I think she paid like an extra $150 to have this UV light installed. And these ECMs cost $250. So this $150 UV light cost her $400 altogether if you think about it, because she paid for the light. Then the technician blew it up and it had to be replaced. Luckily, I was able to get my hands on a good used one. And also, you got to take into account labor. I'm doing this for free. So just wanted to make this statement that do not let anybody other than a qualified AC technician install one of these lights, because if they tap into the power the wrong way, just like this person did here, it's going to cost you a lot more money than the $150 you paid for the light. And keep in mind that not all AC companies will just change the ECM part for you. There are AC companies out there that'll tell you you just need a whole new motor. So this piece right here is $250+. Whole new motor, you're looking at closer to $600. Then you're going to have to pay the technician to come out and change it and install it. So by the time you're said and done, you're getting close to $1,000 for a little $150 light that somebody come out and put in and they didn't know what they were doing. So just wanted to share that with you guys, and be careful.